Unexpected alliance. The night sky erupted in a brilliant flash as Zara's ship tore through Earth's atmosphere. Alarms blared in the cramped cockpit, warning of imminent system failures. Gritting her teeth, the Krelvor scout fought to maintain control of her rapidly descending craft. "Not like this," Zara muttered, her four-fingered hands dancing across the control panel. She had come too far, risked too much, to fail now. Her mission was simple: infiltrate the primitive human world and gather intelligence on their defenses. The Krelvor High Command was convinced that Earth posed a potential threat to their expanding empire, despite the humans' relatively primitive technology. As the ground rushed up to meet her, Zara braced for impact. The ship slammed into a dense forest, carving a deep furrow through the undergrowth before coming to a smoking halt. For several long moments, only the hiss of ruptured coolant lines and the crackle of small fires broke the silence. Zara regained consciousness slowly, her head throbbing. She assessed her injuries: a few broken ribs, possibly a concussion, but nothing life-threatening. Her self-repair nanites were already hard at work, knitting flesh and bone back together. But they wouldn't be enough to fix her ship or complete her mission. A noise outside caught her attention. Voices, human voices. Panic surged through Zara as she realized her cloaking device must have failed in the crash. She was exposed, vulnerable. Quickly, she grabbed her sidearm and prepared to defend herself. The twisted hatch of her ship groaned open, and a face appeared, pink-skinned, with only 2 eyes and a tuft of dark fur on top. A human male. Holy shit, the human breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. "Are you all right in there?" Zara hesitated. Her training had prepared her for combat, for stealth, but not for this, open concern from a potential enemy. She lowered her weapon slightly. "I require assistance," she managed in halting English, a language she had studied but never spoken aloud. The human's face broke into a smile. "Don't worry, we'll get you out of there. I'm Dr. Alex Chen. Can you tell me your name?" "Zara," she replied, surprised by her own willingness to share even that small piece of information. Dr. Chen worked quickly, enlisting the help of his research assistant to free Zara from the wreckage. As they pulled her clear, Zara got her first real look at her rescuers. Dr. Chen was tall for a human, with kind eyes behind thin-framed glasses. His assistant, a younger female with vibrant red hair, stared at Zara with undisguised fascination. "We need to get her to the lab," Dr. Chen said urgently. "If anyone else finds out about this, it'll be a media circus. Or worse, the military will get involved." Zara's antenna twitched with suspicion. "You won't report me?" Dr. Chen shook his head. "Not if you don't want us to. I'm a scientist, not the government stooge. This is the discovery of a lifetime, but I won't betray your trust." Against her better judgment, Zara found herself believing him. Perhaps it was the earnestness in his voice or the genuine concern in his eyes. Or maybe it was simply that she had no other choice. Her mission was in shambles, her ship beyond repair. She needed allies, and fate had delivered her into the hands of this human scientist. "Very well," Zara said, wincing as she tried to stand. "I will go with you." The journey to Dr. Chen's laboratory was tense. They traveled under the cover of darkness, taking back roads to avoid detection. Zara huddled in the back of their vehicle, a primitive wheeled contraption that bumped and jostled with every turn. Her mind raced, trying to formulate a plan. She needed to contact her superiors, to warn them of her compromised position. But a small part of her, a part she tried to silence, was curious about these humans who had shown her kindness. Dr. Chen's lab turned out to be a sprawling underground complex, hidden beneath an unassuming farmhouse. As they descended in an elevator, the doctor explained, "This is a private research facility. We're working on, well, let's just say it's not exactly public knowledge." The doors opened to reveal a state-of-the-art laboratory that would have impressed even the Krelvor scientists. Banks of computers lined the walls, and strange equipment hummed with barely contained energy. In the center of the room stood a large cylindrical chamber that pulsed with an eerie blue light. "Welcome to Project Prometheus," Dr. Chen said, a note of pride in his voice. "We're pushing the boundaries of human potential here, and now with your help, we might be able to push even further." Zora's antenna quivered with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "What exactly is it that you do here, Dr. Chen?" "Zora," she replied, surprised by her own willingness to share even that small piece of information. Dr. Chen worked quickly, enlisting the help of his research assistant to free Zora from the wreckage. As they pulled her clear, Zora got her first real look at her rescuers. Dr. Chen was tall for a human, with kind eyes behind thin-framed glasses. His assistant, a younger female with vibrant red hair, stared at Zora with undisguised fascination. "We need to get her to the lab," Dr. Chen said urgently. "If anyone else finds out about this, it'll be a media circus. Or worse, the military will get involved." Zora's antenna twitched with suspicion. "You won't report me?" Dr. Chen shook his head. "Not if you don't want us to. I'm a scientist, not a government stooge. This is the discovery of a lifetime, but I won't betray your trust." Against her better judgment, Zora found herself believing him. Perhaps it was the earnestness in his voice or the genuine concern in his eyes. Or maybe it was simply that she had no other choice. Her mission was in shambles, her ship beyond repair. She needed allies, and fate had delivered her into the hands of this human scientist. "Very well," Zora said, wincing as she tried to stand. "I will go with you." The journey to Dr. Chen's laboratory was tense. They traveled under the cover of darkness, taking back roads to avoid detection. Zora huddled in the back of their vehicle, a primitive wheeled contraption that bumped and jostled with every turn. Her mind raced, trying to formulate a plan. She needed to contact her superiors, to warn them of her compromised position. But a small part of her, a part she tried to silence, was curious about these humans who had shown her kindness. Dr. Chen's lab turned out to be a sprawling underground complex, hidden beneath an unassuming farmhouse. As they descended in an elevator, the doctor explained, "This is a private research facility. We're working on, well, let's just say it's not exactly public knowledge." The doors opened to reveal a state-of-the-art laboratory that would have impressed even the Krelvor scientists. Banks of computers lined the walls, and strange equipment hummed with barely contained energy. In the center of the room stood a large cylindrical chamber that pulsed with an eerie blue light. "Welcome to Project Prometheus," Dr. Chen said, a note of pride in his voice. "We're pushing the boundaries of human potential here, and now, with your help, we might be able to push even further." Zora's antenna quivered with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "What exactly is it that you do here, Dr. Chen?" The scientist's eyes gleamed with enthusiasm. "We're developing a serum that enhances human physical and mental capabilities. Imagine soldiers who can heal from wounds in minutes, or thinkers who can process information at superhuman speeds. We're on the brink of revolutionizing what it means to be human." Zora felt a chill run down her spine. If the humans succeeded in creating such a serum, it could tip the balance of power in the galaxy. The Krelvor High Command's fears might not be so unfounded after all. As Dr. Chen gave her a tour of the facility, Zora's mind whirled with possibilities. Her mission had changed. No longer was she here simply to gather intelligence. She now had the opportunity to sabotage a project that could pose a genuine threat to her people. But as she watched Dr. Chen work, explaining his theories with passionate gestures and a brilliant smile, Zora felt her resolve waver. There was something compelling about these humans, with their boundless curiosity and their drive to better themselves. It was so different from the rigid, militaristic society she had grown up in. Over the next few days, as Zora recovered from her injuries, she found herself drawn into Dr. Chen's work. She shared carefully selected bits of Krelvor knowledge, ostensibly to help with the project, but always holding back the most crucial details. Dr. Chen, in turn, opened up about the challenges they faced in stabilizing the serum. "The problem," he explained one evening as they pored over data together, is that the human body often rejects the enhancements. We need a way to make the changes more compatible with our physiology. Zora's antenna perked up. Perhaps, she said slowly, an idea forming, you need to approach it from a different angle. Instead of forcing the body to accept the changes, what if you could convince it that the enhancements are natural? Dr. Chen's eyes widened. Like a virus that rewrites DNA. Zora, that's brilliant. He grabbed her hand in excitement, then quickly let go, looking embarrassed. Sorry, I got carried away. Zara felt a strange warmth in her chest at the brief contact. She pushed the feeling aside, focusing instead on the implications of her suggestion. If she could guide the research in a direction that seemed promising, but was ultimately flawed, she could delay or even derail the project entirely. As the days turned into weeks, Zara found herself increasingly conflicted. On one hand, her duty to her people demanded that she find a way to stop Project Prometheus. On the other, she couldn't deny the growing connection she felt to Dr. Chen and his team. They treated her not as an alien invader, but as a respected colleague and friend. One night, as they worked late in the lab, Dr. Chen broached a subject they had both been avoiding. Zara, he said hesitantly, I know you crash-landed here, but why were you coming to Earth in the first place? Zara froze, her hand hovering over a microscope. She had dreaded this question, knowing that her answer could shatter the fragile trust they had built. But as she looked into Dr. Chen's earnest face, she found she couldn't bring herself to lie. I was sent to gather intelligence, she admitted quietly. My people, they see Earth as a potential threat. Dr. Chen was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, to Zara's surprise, he nodded. I suspected as much. But Zara, don't you see? This is an opportunity. We can show your people that we're not a threat, that we can work together, learn from each other. His words stirred something in Zara, a hope she hadn't dared to entertain. Could there be a way to fulfill her mission while also protecting these humans she had come to care for? As if in answer to her unspoken question, an alarm suddenly blared through the complex. Dr. Chen rushed to a computer terminal, his face paling as he read the display. It's the Serum, he said, his voice tight with worry. Something's wrong with the latest batch. It's becoming unstable. Zara felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it, the moment that could change everything. As she followed Dr. Chen to the containment chamber, she knew that the choices she made in the next few minutes would determine not just her fate, but potentially the fate of 2 civilizations. The first part of our story ends here, setting the stage for the dramatic events to come. Zara stands at a crossroads, torn between her duty to her people and her growing attachment to the humans. The unstable Serum presents both a danger and an opportunity. What decision will Zara make, and how will it affect the future of human-Krelvor relations? The adventure continues in Part 2, The Serum's Secret. The Serum's Awakening. The containment chamber hissed open, releasing a cloud of iridescent mist. Dr. Chen stumbled back, coughing, as Zara's 4 eyes widened in alarm. The unstable Serum, now airborne, swirled around them in mesmerizing patterns. We need to evacuate, Dr. Chen gasped, reaching for the emergency alarm. But before his fingers could touch the button, he froze, his eyes glazing over. Zara felt it too, a strange tingling sensation creeping through her body, starting at her antenna and spreading rapidly. The world around her began to shift and blur, colors becoming more vibrant, sounds sharper. She could hear the hum of electronics, the whisper of air currents, even a frantic beating of Dr. Chen's heart. Alex, she muttered, using his first name for the first time. Something's happening. Dr. Chen turned to her, his movements unnaturally fluid. I can see it, he whispered in awe. The code of life itself. DNA, proteins, cellular structures, it's all so clear now. Zara realized with a start that she could see it too. The very fabric of reality seemed to be unraveling before her eyes, revealing the complex dance of particles and energy that made up everything around them. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly overwhelming. A surge of panic cut through the wonder. This wasn't just an enhancement of their senses or intellect. The serum was fundamentally altering their perception of reality itself. "We need to contain this," Zara said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "If this spreads beyond the lab—" Her words were cut short as a wave of energy pulsed through the room. Equipment sparked and shorted out, and the lights flickered ominously. In the chaos, Zara noticed something extraordinary. Her hand had begun to phase in and out of existence, becoming translucent one moment and solid the next. Dr. Chen stared at his own flickering form in fascination. "It's as if we're existing in multiple states simultaneously. Quantum superposition on a macroscopic scale." Zara's military training kicked in, helping her focus through the maelstrom of sensations. "Alex, listen to me. We need to stabilize ourselves before we lose cohesion completely." But Dr. Chen seemed lost in the throes of discovery, his brilliant mind racing to comprehend the implications of their transformation. "Don't you see, Zara? This is beyond anything we imagined. We're not just enhancing human potential, we're transcending the very limits of physical existence." As if to emphasize his point, Dr. Chen's body suddenly elongated, stretching and twisting in impossible ways before snapping back to normal. Zara felt her own form shifting, extra limbs sprouting and disappearing in rapid succession. Through the haze of altered perception, Zara spotted the stabilization chamber, a prototype device designed to counteract extreme cellular degradation. If they could reach it, they might be able to reverse the serum's effects before they lost themselves completely. "Alex," she called out, her voice echoing strangely in the fluctuating space around them. "The stabilization chamber, it's our only hope." Dr. Chen's eyes cleared for a moment, recognition dawning. Yes, of course. But Zara, the data we could gather from this experience will be useless if we cease to exist." Zara cut him off, grabbing his arm. The contact sent a shock through both of them, their altered physiologies reacting in unpredictable ways. For a brief moment, their minds touched, and Zara caught a glimpse of the swirling chaos of human emotions: fear, excitement, curiosity, and something deeper, warmer, directed at her. Pushing aside the implications of that mental touch, Zara focused on driving them both toward the stabilization chamber. Each step was a battle against physics gone mad. The floor rippled beneath their feet, solid one moment and intangible the next. Equipment floated past them, disassembling and reassembling in midair. As they neared the chamber, a new complication arose. The serum's effects were spreading, seeping through the lab's ventilation system. Through the observation window, Zara could see Dr. Chen's assistant and other researchers beginning to transform, their bodies warping in a kaleidoscope of shapes. "We can't leave them like this," Dr. Chen said, his voice distorting. Zara's antenna twitched in agitation. Every instinct screamed at her to save herself, to complete her mission by allowing this human experiment to spiral out of control. But the part of her that had grown to care for these humans, to see their potential for both greatness and compassion, couldn't bear the thought. "The chamber," she said, an idea forming. "If we can boost its output, we might be able to generate a stabilization field large enough to encompass the entire lab." Dr. Chen's face lit up with understanding. As one, they turned to the chamber's control panel. Their altered perceptions allowed them to see the device's inner workings, the flow of energy and data. With inhuman speed and precision, they began to reconfigure the system, their fingers blurring as they input commands. Warning klaxons blared as the chamber's power core was pushed beyond its designed limits. Zara could feel the energy building, threatening to tear the device apart. "It's not enough," she growled in frustration. "We need more power." In that moment of desperation, Zara made a decision that would change everything. Reaching deep within herself, she accessed a part of her Krelvor physiology that she had always kept hidden. A natural ability to manipulate energy fields. It was her species' most closely guarded secret, the true reason the Krelvor feared human potential. As Dr. Chen watched in awe, Zara's body began to glow with an otherworldly light. She placed her hands on the chamber, channeling her own life force into the device. The stabilization field exploded outward, washing over the lab in a wave of scintillating energy. For a heart-stopping moment, everything seemed to hang in the balance. Then, slowly, reality began to reassert itself. The floating equipment crashed to the floor. The warped bodies of the researchers snapped back to their normal shapes. Dr. Chen gasped as his perception narrowed, the infinite possibilities he had glimpsed fading like a dream upon waking. Zara slumped to the ground, drained by her efforts. As her vision dimmed, she saw Dr. Chen kneeling beside her, concern etched on his face. She had revealed her species' greatest secret to save these humans. There would be no going back now. Zara, Dr. Chen's voice seemed to come from far away. What did you do? What are you? But Zara couldn't answer. The world spun around her, and she slipped into unconsciousness, leaving behind a lab full of shaken humans and a future suddenly uncertain. As the dust settled and the immediate crisis passed, new questions arose. What long-term effects would the serum have on those exposed? How would this incident change the course of Project Prometheus? And perhaps most importantly, how would the revelation of Zara's true abilities alter the delicate balance between human and Krelvor? The answers to these questions would have to wait. For now, as emergency protocols engaged and containment teams swarmed the lab, all anyone could do was try to make sense of the impossible events they had just experienced. One thing was certain, the world would never be the same again. Quantum entanglement. Zara awoke to a world of silence. Her eyes snapped open, all four of them adjusting rapidly to the dim light. She was in a sealed chamber, surrounded by softly pulsing energy fields. Dr. Chen stood on the other side of a transparent barrier, his face a mask of concern and fascination. But something was wrong. Terribly, fundamentally wrong. Zara couldn't feel her body. She tried to move, to speak, but nothing happened. Panic rose within her, a purely mental sensation untethered to physical responses. Zara. Dr. Chen's voice came through a speaker, tinny and distant. Can you hear me? Don't try to move. We're still trying to understand what's happened to you. Confusion gave way to dawning comprehension as Zara focused her thoughts. She could see herself reflected in the chamber's walls, but what she saw wasn't her physical form. Instead, a shimmering, nebulous cloud of energy hovered where her body should have been. Alex, she thought, and to her shock, the words appeared as text on a nearby screen. What's happened to me? Dr. Chen ran a hand through his disheveled hair. We're not entirely sure. After you channeled that energy into the stabilization field, your body, well, it sort of dissolved. But your consciousness remained intact, somehow tethered to this energy state. Zara's mind reeled. She had become pure energy, a being of thought and will without physical form. The implications were staggering. As if reading her thoughts, and perhaps he was, Dr. Chen continued, that's not all. The serum, combined with your unique abilities, has had some unexpected effects on the rest of us. He held up his hand, and Zara watched in astonishment as it flickered and split, creating multiple overlapping images. We seem to be existing in a state of quantum superposition. We're here, but we're also elsewhere, everywhere. A chill would have run down Zara's spine if she still had one. You're experiencing time non-linearly. Not just time, Dr. Chen said, his eyes unfocused as if seeing something beyond the present moment. Parallel realities, alternate timelines. It's like we've become unmoored from a single fixed universe. Zara's thoughts raced. The serum had done more than enhance human potential. It had fundamentally altered the nature of their reality. And her own transformation. Was this the true potential of Krelvor physiology, unlocked by the interaction with the human serum? Before she could ponder further, alarms blared throughout the facility. Dr. Chen's expression shifted to one of panic. Oh no, not again, he muttered. What's happening? Zara projected onto the screen. It's the others, Dr. Chen explained hurriedly. Some of them are slipping, facing in and out of our reality. We can't stabilize them. As if on cue, one of the lab technicians stumbled into view. His form flickered and blurred, sometimes appearing as an old man, sometimes as a child, sometimes as something inhuman and strange. "Help me," the technician pleaded, his voice echoing as if coming from multiple points in time simultaneously. Then, with a wrenching scream, he vanished in a flash of light. Dr. Chen slammed his fist against the wall. "Damn it. We've lost another one." Zara felt a surge of determination. She may have lost her physical form, but perhaps her new state gave her unique abilities. "Let me out," she projected. "I think I can help." Dr. Chen hesitated only a moment before disengaging the energy fields. Zara's consciousness surged out of the chamber, reveling in the freedom of movement. She could sense the fabric of spacetime around her, could feel the quantum fluctuations that were tearing her human allies apart. Focusing her will, Zara extended tendrils of energy towards the nearest affected human, Dr. Chen's assistant, Emily. The young woman was halfway through a wall, her body stretched and distorted. Zara enveloped Emily in her energy field, using her consciousness to stabilize the erratic quantum state. Slowly, painfully, Emily's form solidified, snapping back into a single reality. "Thank you," Emily gasped, collapsing to the floor. But there was no time for relief. All around them, humans were facing in and out of existence, some appearing as younger or older versions of themselves, others transforming into bizarre alternate forms. Dr. Chen worked frantically at a control panel, trying to contain the chaos. "Zara, I don't know how long we can keep this up. The very fabric of our reality is unraveling." As Zara stretched her consciousness to stabilize another human, a new sensation washed over her. She could feel something, a vast, incomprehensible presence just beyond the veil of normal perception. With a start, she realized what it was. The multiverse itself, an infinite sea of possibilities and parallel realities, and it was aware of them. "Alex," she projected, her thoughts tinged with awe and terror. "I think we've attracted attention. Something's coming." The air in the lab began to shimmer and twist. A rift opened in the center of the room, a swirling vortex of energy and possibility. From within emerged a figure, or rather, an infinite number of figures overlapping in the same space. It spoke, its voice a chorus of countless realities. "You have breached the barriers between worlds. The cosmic balance is disrupted." Dr. Chen stepped forward, his own form flickering between potential states. "We didn't mean to. Please, can you help us?" The entity regarded them with eyes that were windows into entire universes. "Your meddling has consequences beyond your comprehension. A choice must be made." Zara felt the weight of infinite possibilities pressing down upon them. She realized with growing dread that this entity, this cosmic judge, held their fate in its hands. "What choice?" she projected, her energy form pulsing with apprehension. The entity's form shifted, showing glimpses of countless potential futures. "To remain as you are, unbound by the laws of a single reality, but at risk of unraveling the cosmic tapestry. Or to return to your former states, forever severed from the knowledge and power you have glimpsed." The humans in the lab looked at each other, fear and wonder warring on their faces. Dr. Chen turned to Zara, a question in his eyes. Zara felt the pull of infinite potential, the allure of cosmic understanding. But she also remembered the simple joys of physical existence, the warmth of human connection. As alarms blared and reality itself trembled around them, Zara and her human allies faced a decision that would shape not just their future, but the future of all possible worlds. The entity awaited their choice, the fate of the multiverse hanging in the balance. Cosmic symbiosis. As the entity awaited their decision, a peculiar transformation began. The quantum instability affecting the humans and Zara's energy forms started to coalesce, drawn together by an unseen force. Dr. Chen watched in amazement as tendrils of light extended from his fingertips, intertwining with Zara's consciousness. What's happening? Emily gasped, her own body beginning to emit a soft glow. The cosmic entity's multitude of voices spoke as one. Unexpected, you are achieving harmonic resonance. Zara felt it too, a growing connection not just to the humans around her, but to the very fabric of reality itself. We're becoming something new, she projected, her thoughts echoing through the minds of everyone present. Dr. Chen's eyes widened with sudden understanding. Of course, the serum, your Krelvor abilities, the quantum fluctuations, they're all merging, creating a bridge between realities. The cosmic entity shifted, its infinite forms swirling in what might have been curiosity. This was not foreseen. You are neither bound nor unbound, but something in between. As the process continued, Zara and the humans found their consciousness expanding. They could perceive multiple realities simultaneously, yet remained anchored to their own. The terror of unraveling was replaced by a sense of limitless potential. We don't have to choose, Dr. Chen realized, his voice resonating across dimensions. We're becoming living quantum computers, able to process and integrate information from across the multiverse. Zara's energy form pulsed with excitement. And more than that, we're a new form of life, a symbiosis of human, Krelvor, and cosmic energy. The entity's voices hummed in harmony. A third option emerges. You may serve as custodians, maintaining the boundaries between realities while exploring their infinite possibilities. As the transformation neared completion, Zara and her human allies found they could shift between physical and energy forms at will. They were no longer limited to a single perspective, but could view problems from literally infinite angles. Dr. Chen turned to Zara, his form flickering between human and energy. Think of the potential. We could solve problems that have plagued humanity for centuries, drawing on the collective knowledge of countless realities. Emily chimed in, her voice echoing with newfound power. We could prevent wars before they start, guide civilizations towards peace and enlightenment. But Zara, with her military background, saw potential dangers. We must be cautious. With this power, we could also inadvertently cause great harm. We need guidelines, ethics. The cosmic entity's form began to fade, its purpose fulfilled. The choice is made. The balance is restored, yet ever-changing. Your journey as cosmic custodians begins. As the entity vanished, the lab was plunged into a moment of absolute silence. Then, slowly, the hum of equipment resumed, but with a new undertone, the subtle vibration of quantum possibilities. Dr. Chen looked at his hands, now solid but thrumming with barely contained energy. So, what now? Zara's consciousness expanded, touching the minds of her new symbiotic partners. Now we learn, we explore, we protect. As the newly transformed group stood in the lab, they felt the weight of infinite realities pressing upon them. They were no longer merely human or Krelvor, but something entirely new, living bridges between worlds, with the power to shape the very fabric of the multiverse. First things first, Emily said, a mischievous glint in her multifaceted eyes. I think we need a new name. Project Prometheus doesn't quite cover it anymore. Dr. Chen chuckled, the sound rippling across dimensions. How about the Quantum Syndicate? Zara's energy form pulsed with amusement. A bit dramatic, don't you think? But fitting. As they bantered, testing the limits of their new abilities, none of them noticed the small tear in reality left behind by the cosmic entity. Through this tiny rift, something old and hungry peered into their world, watching the birth of these new cosmic custodians with great interest. The Quantum Syndicate had only just begun their journey, unaware of the ancient forces they had awakened. As they prepared to step into their role as protectors of the multiverse, new challenges and adventures awaited, ones that would test not just their newfound powers, but the very nature of their shared existence. In labs and secret facilities across the globe, other humans affected by the serum were undergoing their own transformations. The world was changing in ways no one could have predicted, and at the heart of it all stood a group of former humans and one alien, ready to face whatever the infinite cosmos might throw their way. The stage was set for a cosmic drama unlike any other, with the fate of not just one universe, but all possible universes hanging in the balance. Chronos paradox. The quantum syndicate had barely begun to grasp their new abilities when reality itself seemed to hiccup. The lab around them flickered, images of past and future overlapping in a dizzying kaleidoscope. Dr. Chen stumbled, clutching his head. "Something's wrong," he gasped. "The time stream, it's fracturing." Zora's energy form pulsed with alarm. She could sense it too, a growing disturbance in the fabric of spacetime. "It's not just here," she projected. "The effect is spreading across multiple realities." Emily's eyes glazed over, her consciousness stretching across timelines. "I can see it. Oh God, it's everywhere. Past, present, future, they're all colliding." As if to punctuate her words, a dinosaur suddenly materialized in the middle of the lab, its massive tail sweeping through equipment that hadn't been invented millions of years in its future. Just as quickly, it vanished, replaced by a gleaming robot that regarded them with glowing eyes before it too disappeared. "We need to stabilize the time stream," Dr. Chen said, his form shifting rapidly between child, adult, and elderly versions of himself. "But how?" Zora extended her consciousness, trying to locate the source of the disturbance. What she found chilled her to her core. "It's us," she realized. "Our transformation into the quantum syndicate, it's created a paradox." The others looked at her in shock as understanding dawned. Their very existence as multidimensional beings was causing ripples across time and space, threatening to tear apart the fabric of reality. "So what do we do?" Emily asked, her voice echoing from multiple points in time simultaneously. "Undo our transformation." Before anyone could answer, a new presence made itself known. A figure stepped out of thin air, a being that seemed to be made of clockwork and starlight. Its voice resonated with the ticking of countless clocks. "I am Kronos," it announced, "guardian of time. Your meddling has unleashed chaos upon the multiverse. The paradox must be resolved." Dr. Chen stepped forward, his form finally settling into his present self. "We didn't mean to cause harm. We're still learning to control our abilities." Kronos' gaze swept over them, gears turning behind eyes that had witnessed the birth and death of universes. "Intent is irrelevant. The damage is done. A price must be paid to restore balance." The air grew heavy with tension. Zara could feel the weight of time itself pressing down upon them. "What price?" she projected cautiously. Kronos raised a hand, and suddenly they could all see it, the fractures in time spreading like cracks in glass, threatening to shatter existence itself. "One of you must be erased from the time stream, completely, as if you never existed." The members of the Quantum Syndicate looked at each other in horror. To be erased wouldn't just mean death. It would mean that every trace of their existence, every life they touched, every change they'd made to the world, would be undone. "There has to be another way," Dr. Chen protested. But Kronos was unmoved. "This is the only way to close the paradox. Choose quickly, or I shall choose for you." As they grappled with this impossible decision, Zara's consciousness expanded, searching desperately for a solution. In that moment of crisis, she touched something, a presence vast and ancient, slumbering in the spaces between realities. With a jolt, she understood. "Wait," she projected, her energy form pulsing urgently. "I think I found a third option." All eyes turned to her as she continued. "There's something out there. A being of immense power, dormant but aware. I think it's what you might call an elder god." Kronos' form flickered, showing a hint of uncertainty for the first time. "The old ones are not to be trifled with, mortal." But Zara pressed on, emboldened. "What if we could channel its power? Use it to stabilize the time string without sacrificing one of our own?" Dr. Chen's eyes lit up with comprehension. A cosmic anchor. Brilliant. Emily, however, looked skeptical. "Are we sure waking up an elder god is a good idea? Didn't Lovecraft have some strong opinions on that? Despite the gravity of the situation, Zara felt a surge of affection for these humans and their ability to joke in the face of cosmic peril. It's a risk, she admitted, but it's better than losing one of us. Kronos considered for a long moment, the gears of its body whirring in contemplation. Finally it nodded. Very well, but be warned, if you fail, the consequences will be dire. With that ominous proclamation, Kronos waved a hand. The lab around them dissolved, and the quantum syndicate found themselves floating in a vast, dark space. All around them, threads of time and possibility stretched into infinity. There, Zara projected, indicating a spot where the threads seemed to converge. That's where we need to go. As they moved towards the nexus, they could feel the presence growing stronger. It was ancient beyond imagining, its dreams shaping and reshaping reality. How exactly do we do this? Emily asked, her voice tight with tension. Dr. Chen's form shimmered as he focused his thoughts. We need to establish a connection, then use our combined abilities to channel its power into the fractures in spacetime. They reached the nexus, finding themselves face to face with a being that defied description. It was as if a piece of the universe had gained sentience, its body a swirling mass of stars and dark matter. As one, the quantum syndicate reached out, their consciousnesses merging with the elder gods. The sensation was overwhelming, inns of knowledge and power flooding through them, threatening to sweep away their individuality. Zara fought to maintain focus, using her military discipline to anchor the others. Now, she projected, channel the energy. They strained, directing the cosmic power towards the fractures in time. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly the cracks began to close. Reality shuddered and heaved around them. They could feel timelines reknitting, paradoxes resolving themselves. But the strain was immense, threatening to tear them apart. Just when it seemed they could hold on no longer, it was done. The time stream stabilized, the paradox closed. The elder god's presence receded, returning to its slumber. The quantum syndicate found themselves back in the lab, gasping and disoriented. Kronos stood before them, its clockwork body ticking softly. It is done, the Time Guardian announced. The balance is restored, but be warned, your actions have consequences. The old one you awakened will not sleep so deeply again. With that, Kronos vanished, leaving the exhausted team to contemplate their narrow escape and the new responsibility they had taken on. As they recovered, a new alert sounded from one of the lab computers. Dr. Chen stumbled over to check it, his eyes widening as he read the screen. Up, guys, he said, his voice shaky. We might have a new problem. It seems our little time crisis didn't go unnoticed. World governments are demanding answers, and is it a UFO hovering over the White House? Zara's energy form pulsed with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Their actions had changed the world in ways they were only beginning to understand. As the quantum syndicate prepared to face the consequences of their cosmic meddling, one thing was clear: their adventures were far from over. The boundaries between science, magic, and cosmic horror had been irrevocably blurred. In saving reality, they had ushered in a new age of wonders and terrors. The question now was, were they ready to guide humanity through the challenges that lay ahead? As alarms blared and news reports flooded in from around the globe, the quantum syndicate steeled themselves for their next impossible task, explaining to the world that reality as they knew it had fundamentally changed, and that they were now all part of a cosmic drama beyond imagination. The stage was set for a new chapter in human history, with the quantum syndicate at its center. Whatever came next, they would face it together, human, alien, and something altogether new, united in their quest to protect the multiverse and shepherd humanity into a new era of cosmic awareness. The entropy cascade. As the quantum syndicate prepared to face a world in chaos, reality took another unexpected turn. The air around them began to crystallize, forming intricate fractal patterns that spread rapidly across every surface. Dr. Chen reached out to touch one, only to have his hand pass through it as if it were a hologram. Fascinating, he murmured, his scientific curiosity momentarily overriding the urgency of their situation. It's as if the fundamental laws of physics are being rewritten on a local level. Zora's energy form pulsed with concern. This isn't just a local phenomenon. I can sense similar disturbances across multiple dimensions. Emily, her consciousness still linked to the time stream, gasped suddenly. Guys, we've got bigger problems. Look. She projected an image into their minds, showing Earth from orbit. But it wasn't the Earth they knew. Continents shifted and reformed like puzzle pieces. Oceans evaporated and reappeared in impossible locations. And in the background, stars were winking out one by one. The entropy cascade, Dr. Chen whispered, his face pale. It's happening faster than we could have imagined. Zora focused her multidimensional senses, trying to understand the scope of the problem. What she found chilled her to her core. It's not just our universe, she projected. The cascade is spreading across the multiverse, causing realities to collapse in on themselves. As if to underscore her words, a rift opened in the lab, revealing a nightmarish landscape where the laws of physics had completely broken down. Shapes and colors that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space writhed and pulsed before the portal mercifully closed. We need to stop this, Emily said, her voice shaking. But how? We're talking about the heat death of the entire multiverse. Before anyone could respond, a new presence made itself known. A figure stepped out of thin air, but calling it a figure was a gross simplification. It was as if a slice of reality had been cut away, revealing the cosmic machinery behind existence itself. I am the architect, it announced, its voice resonating on frequencies that shouldn't exist. You have upset the cosmic balance, and now the multiverse seeks to reset itself. Dr. Chen stepped forward, his scientific mind racing. Reset? You mean this entropy cascade is some kind of universal defense mechanism? The architect's form shifted, showing glimpses of realities being born and dying in the span of microseconds. The multiverse is a self-correcting system. When anomalies like your cells arise, it seeks to rewrite reality to eliminate the contradiction. Zora's energy form pulsed with determination. There has to be a way to stop it. We can't just let countless realities be wiped out. The architect regarded them impassively. There is one possibility, but the cost would be great. You would need to sacrifice your newfound powers and become the linchpin that holds the multiverse together. The members of the Quantum Syndicate exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. They had only just begun to explore their incredible abilities, and the thought of giving them up was painful, but the alternative was unthinkable. We'll do it, Dr. Chen said firmly. Just tell us how. The architect's form rippled, and suddenly they were no longer in the lab. They found themselves floating in a vast, multidimensional space, surrounded by swirling vortexes of creation and destruction. Behold the nexus of all realities, the architect intoned. From here, you can access the source code of existence itself, but be warned, altering it comes with great risk. Zora extended her consciousness, trying to make sense of the cosmic programming language that surrounded them. It was like nothing she had ever encountered, a mix of mathematics, music, and pure thought. I think I understand, she projected to the others. We need to rewrite ourselves into the fabric of reality, becoming the glue that holds it all together. Emily nodded, her form flickering as she processed information from countless timelines. But if we do this, we'll be spread across all of existence. We might lose our individual selves entirely. Dr. Chen's face was set with determination. It's a sacrifice we have to make, for the sake of every living being in every reality. As they steeled themselves for what was to come, the architect spoke once more. There is one more thing you should know. This process will create a new cosmic constant, a fundamental force that maintains the stability of the multiverse. You will, in essence, become gods. The implications of this statement hung heavy in the air. The power to shape reality itself, to guide the course of countless civilizations. It was a responsibility almost too vast to comprehend. "We didn't ask for this," Zara projected, her energy form pulsing with a mix of awe and trepidation. "But we'll do our best to use this power wisely." With that, the Quantum Syndicate began the process of merging with the cosmic source code. It was unlike anything they had experienced before. Their consciousnesses expanded to encompass entire universes, their very essence becoming intertwined with the fundamental forces of reality. As they rewrote themselves into the fabric of existence, they could feel the entropy cascade slowing, then stopping altogether. Realities that had been on the brink of collapse stabilized, saved from oblivion by their sacrifice. But the process was not without cost. As their individual selves began to dissolve into the cosmic whole, Zara reached out one last time to her human friends. "Thank you," she projected, her thoughts tinged with both sadness and infinite love, "for showing me the best of humanity." "And thank you," Dr. Chen replied, his consciousness already beginning to spread across multiple dimensions, "for helping us reach our true potential." Emily's laugh echoed across realities. "See you on the other side, whatever that means now." As the last vestiges of their former selves faded away, a new cosmic force came into being. The quantum constant, a fundamental aspect of reality that maintained the delicate balance between order and chaos, creation and destruction. Across countless worlds, beings looked up at their skies and felt a subtle shift. Some called it a great awakening, others a cosmic rebirth. Scientists detected new particles that defied conventional physics, while mystics spoke of a universal consciousness that had suddenly become accessible. The multiverse had been forever changed, safe from destruction but altered in ways that would take eons to fully understand. And at the heart of it all, guiding the cosmic dance with infinite patience and wisdom, were the beings who had once been Zara, Dr. Chen, Emily, and the other members of the Quantum Syndicate.